like your feelings are at the door, and it's about welcoming all of them, like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Only Rumi's way more eloquent than I am. So, and it's a great poem, but there was a woman who took mindfulness at the Center for Mindfulness, like back in the, I don't know, 90s sometime, and she wrote a response to Rumi, which I will also send you. And her poem is basically, yeah, I'll welcome you. Like, I get it. I have to. I can't keep you out. I've tried, and it doesn't work. But here's the deal. Like, I'm gonna create like a Greek temple, right? So the floors are tile and hard, and there's pillars, and there's lots of open space, and maybe there's a roof. But she's like, you know, there's no couches. There's no place to sit. I'm not feeding you. No one's losing, you know, like it's not a party. No one's coming and losing an earring in the couch. Like you can come, but, because I get it. You, like I need to, and there's this balance of like, yes, we need to meet our feelings, but we don't need to meet our feelings 24/7. We don't need to wallow in them. We don't need to, like we don't need to push them away or indulge them. And so there's this place to play. That kind of allows for both. Because if you say, if our only message is be with your feelings over and over again and you're feeling like crap, like who wants to do that? But what we learn if we're with our feelings is, oh, I have the strength, the capacity, the resilience to be with this feeling. And it, like actually all that pushing away and shutting down and all those other things that I normally do, like if nothing else, it's just exhausting. So just making a space where it's okay is a huge thing. And they don't, you know, they're gonna leave your class, right, and go to math. And it's okay to button up before you go to math. You know, like, you don't have to go as a weepy basket case to math, right? You know, and you can say, like, you guys did a great job. You're practicing a muscle so that you have it when you need it. But before you leave the room, like, take a minute and just make a choice about how you're going to walk out the door and how exposed or unexposed you want to be. Because that's also an important choice. Like, you know, because it might not be appropriate to do it in math where no one's created that space. And you know what I mean? So to remind them that that's also a choice I think is helpful. But that's an awesome example. What else?
We started with impulse, and I did the itch. I had them do their breathing and went right into that. And while their eyes were closed, a lot of them did feel like they had to scratch, but didn't. So we had a nice conversation. Well, from there, I kept them on, in the practice, and then just read some happy words and then not happy words, and just have them feel. What do you feel when you're happy,
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of facial expressions during it. Was really cute to watch everybody. Their eyes were closed, so I think they felt more comfortable to express something facially. And the discussion was good. People are getting it. Yeah, when I feel happy, I just, feel inflated or up and warm. And then I said words like depressed and suicide and parents and they feel.
I'm glad that all goes right together there. As a parent.
Parents. And they felt different things in their body, so I think they're getting that connection now that you feel something and then you can pause and decide how you want to respond instead of just react. So then we did Aikido, and I decided just huge classrooms. I had 6 volunteers come up and had each one, talk to each side and have them act it out in front of the class. And they're laughing and, going nuts. And but the whole idea was, again, there's different ways to respond to things, and these are some of them. So just be aware of what you do over and over. Do you respond the same way to the same impulse over and over and over? And be aware of it. And if you choose to do that, fine, but maybe you can stop and maybe do something different if you want a different result. So we did that. And then loving kindness, and they loved that. That's how we kind of ended.
And did you do it focused on them and their traits, or did you do it like a benefactor and then someone neutral and then someone difficult? Which way did you do it? Or did you play it?
I did exactly, I think, what yours is.
Okay.
So I went through that and had them, try to give loving kindness to someone and then in the end to themselves. And I think, some of the boys that have been kind of very squirrely and all, I think it really touched them a lot. We kind of ended with that and just they were more subdued and had just a quick conversation about it, and most people are feeling very warm and happy, and so I think it went well. I think they loved doing that. And Jim is so fucking around. He's really, I don't know if he's just, but and I have him first and fifth, so when he came in fifth period, he said, oh, you guys are gonna love this one, it's great, and so he's really interacting a lot, and in each of his 2 classes, he needed 5 minutes to tell them they're going to be swimming tomorrow, or whatever day it was. Yeah, I guess, no, that was Monday, so yesterday, so they weren't happy about that, but he said, you guys just breathe and, it's going to be okay. So he's getting the lingo a little bit and at least really trying.
Yeah, and the nice thing there is and yeah, I know there's another PE teacher, so it's not like it's all,
he was absent this week.
all rainbows and unicorns or whatever
Yeah.
Tiffany likes to say. But the nice thing is, right, like if you remember back in the beginning, you were talking about A, having them lead practice, and
Yeah.
B, feeling more like you had to convince.
Mm-hmm.
And just especially as we're completing, and I don't know exactly what options are coming after this, or even if you guys are going to want any other options after this, but it's one of the things is to kind of trust your practice and also trust the practice, because what that keeps me from doing is I don't have to sell too much, because I trust that if we just walk through the 8 weeks, by the end they're probably going to have something. They may not have all of it, and they may not use it all the time, but when they're a sophomore and they're freaking out at school and they're just bonkers, and then they go to student health and they're sitting in the waiting room and it says mindfulness, blah, 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 they're going to be, oh yeah, that thing I did with Miss Carlson, that's a good, now that's a really good idea. And the number of universities that have mindfulness programs now is growing exponentially, because kids are getting, I don't know how many of you have read the Wendy Mogul stuff and all that stuff, but the teacups and the Crispies, they're getting there already burnt out and super fragile because of their helicopter parents and depressed and anxious. And so the universities, and if these kids get it earlier, they have it when they start.
And that's what I'm telling the kids. I keep saying to them, if you're not practicing at home and you forget about this, no problem. Just someday, sometime, something's going to come up and you're going to remember, oh yeah, I should take a breath before I do that. Or I'm so stressed before I
Testing.
It works.
Yeah,
Success.
It does. But,
Beats the fire alarm.
and to maybe, so they don't feel like they're a failure because they've not practiced at all or they haven't done anything in the book. And just to be okay with that. The seed has been planted.
Right.
You've done 8 weeks with this. It's going to click in whenever it is,
Yeah, and I have a crazy story, and I don't usually tell this story because I usually am on the gently encouraging them to practice. But my dad has never done a mindfulness practice in his life, except for maybe listening to each CD once. But I knew my dad got it when they were traveling in Africa, and I forget what happened. But John Kabat-Zinn, who's kind of the father of the modern mindfulness movement, has a book called Wherever You Go, There You Are. And my mom and my dad, just so everybody knows, is when I was growing up, was a type A++ person. So this represents some small miracle. They said, yeah, we travel with John Kabat-Zinn now.
Oh.
And it was like, it just was the thing that lets them deal with lost luggage. And the other thing that they did on that trip was like, the trip was kind of a disaster. And my dad was the kind of guy that if he paid for it, by God, he was gonna finish it. And they got to a break point on the trip and they decided to bail and go to France. And I was like having a little dance party at my house because like it's so, like that's such flexibility for him. And, you know, he's read a book. Like, I mean, I think he read Full Catastrophe Living and Wherever You Go, There You Are. I don't think he's sad at all, but like something stuck with him. So just to know, like, it can seem like they're not getting anything, but there's something in there and it will come back. The other thing is, and we're gonna decide, or each of you is going to decide how you want to do it, because if you're going to keep doing mindfulness till the end of the year, you might not do the letters to a friend now, but like Kiernan and Judy, you may do them now. And I'd like to do, so I want you guys to think about this.